Hey, good morning and welcome to our Health Hack Thursday. I'm here with my co-host Megan Calido. We are here today. Our topic will be fasting for optimal health and how to do it right. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Melissa Patterson. I help postpartum nurses overcome exhaustion, brain fog, and overwhelm to boost their energy and shed those postpartum weight. I'm also a author and a holistic health coach. I am with Megan, and she is a in school for regenerative health practitioner. She's an herbalist, a aromatherapist, and a business owner. So today we're just gonna really go over. I'm gonna let you guys know like the key points of what we're gonna be discussing. Like what is fasting? The different types of fasting. Why fast? How to prepare for fasting, and then when to break that fast, and then obviously the common mistakes and how to avoid them. And so we'll just kind of go over there, and then we'll give you guys a little bit more of a tip on how to properly do these things and when to do them. So thanks for being here, Megan. I love our topics. The reason why we were talking about this because we are both doing a lot of different detox right now because of the beginning of the year, and we just really want to make sure that this year is full of joy and optimal health and just feeling alive. And I was just telling Megan here, she's done such a beautiful job detoxing her body, and she has followed detox after detox for the last 3 months, and she just looks absolutely amazing. She looks like she's lost 10 years of her life. I mean, not lost, gained 10 years of her life. And I'm just
I
like,
went back a little.
forward. But so, we were talking, and like I was telling her, I am doing a lot of fasting right now because I'm doing two different detox, and I'm also doing a cleanse. And because it's time for me to do a parasite cleanse this year. I was supposed to do it in January, and then I just skipped it thinking that that was okay. But I'm going to tell you, I needed it, and I can feel the difference now. But I was telling her that, I started fasting, and I'm just drinking my super drinks and some fruits and vegetables throughout the day, and then have one meal, and not even a big meal. Like, yes, last night I had soup, broccoli soup. So I really, really want to support my body the best way I can and get these things out of me, whatever it is that's causing my exhaustion, and just like my I have fogginess right now. So again, that's why we talk about like detoxing and parasite cleansing, and it's very, very important to do it more than once, at least twice a year to really start, because we're exposed and we can't really step away from those exposures. So it's really, really good to always detox your body as much, I mean, at least twice a year. So anyways, so Megan, let's talk about the different fasting, right? There's intermittent, there's extended, there's water, there's dry juice fasting, which you did, I think at the beginning of the year. And so let's go over that and kind of explain
Yeah.
that to everybody.
Yeah. Well, there are so many fasts that we can do. And I've, when we do go into a fast, it's so important how we're going into it and then how we're coming out of it. So, like, you wouldn't want to go from like your regular diet if you're eating all day, every day, to, okay, well, now I'm gonna not eat till noon, or I'm coming from a standard American diet and I'm gonna do a week of juicing. Like, this never works out. Like, it never works out. It makes people feel terrible. And the reason it does is because we're like throwing out, like, we're detoxing super fast, getting rid of everything super fast. So it makes it a lot easier if we just like kind of walk ourselves into a fast. So, and it's just as important on how we come out of a fast, which are things that I didn't know. I went from standard American diet to a juice fast. I actually did a water fast, and I ended up passing out the next day. It was terrible. I broke my glasses. I had whiplash. That it was, I went rate down. And it was really because I didn't understand how to support my body into going into it so that it was nice and calm and it felt easy. And I think that's the biggest difference where, this year we weren't standard American diet anymore by any means. But we eased into a fasting state. So we ended on a juice fast and then it just went amazing. So we walked ourselves up the detox ladder and I was just thinking I wish I could show this detox ladder because if we're not detoxing, we're accumulating. And so it's really going to depend on what we have in our diets. Are you going to make it so I can share that?
Yeah, I would love to see that. That would be great. Let me make you.
Yeah, just me. All right. I put them all so nice and neat so I can find them so easily. And now I'm like, where did I put them?
Yeah, visual.
Story of my life.
So I would
Yeah.
love to see the visual. Just, it makes it
Hmm.
understand because
It does. It makes it so much easier to understand like why we're doing what we're doing and what we're going for. And we always want to be supporting the body in all of this. Oh, where did I go?
and that's why it's so
Sorry, I'm just trying to. I wish I would have had this open sooner. I
no.
apologize.
Yeah, it's really, really important to work with a specialist, a practitioner who can really, really walk you through all of these things. It's not just like, oh, I want to detox, or like you said, I want to fast just because, you want to do it. You can really harm yourself and make symptoms far worse. So this is why we want to show and share these things with everybody so you have a better understanding of how each works and, understanding, I mean, knowledge is power. I always feel like,
Really, it really is. Yeah, so you can see on the bottom of the pyramid, we have animal proteins, fish, dairy, eggs, cheese, all the stuff we love, right? Like I used to love all of this stuff. Refined and processed starches and sugars. So, and any processed foods. So, when we're consuming those, we are slowing down detoxification. Everything we do either speeds up or slows down. So, the next above your nuts, seeds, cooked veggies, leafy greens, and I'll add fruits to that. Like fruits are always everywhere in this pyramid. Green smoothies or juice or raw fruits and veg is up next. So this is where we started. We didn't have much animal protein in our diet, but we did back in November. So like we were bottom of the pyramid, not where we were real slow detoxing. So we went up to the nuts, seeds, and cooked veg for about a month. Then we did 31 days of raw fruit and veg, and I felt absolutely amazing on that. Like the energy I had was just unbelievable because I've never experienced this in my adult life. And then we went up to smoothies and juices. Um, and again, fruits are in there. We worked our way up right to the fruit juice. Mono fruit juice is where we got ourselves to. And I'm still petrified of water fasting, so I didn't even go there. I was like, I'm not doing that to my mind, my system, because it's automatically, I just don't feel. But like, we don't ever want to like jump right from one thing to the next. It's really much easier on the body if we're able to just walk into it a little bit slower and to know if we're ready to go to that next level. So I think, you know, you had asked me my thoughts on intermittent fasting, which is what I was like, oh, great, let's talk about this. And because I know you personally and we've shared all our health things, I was like, your adrenals definitely like first thing that popped up. Because if we don't break our fast by 10 o'clock, we like release a whole bunch of cortisol and we get all like up in arms and our body thinks, oh my gosh, she's starving. So I have to like do all this stuff so she's okay. And when there's already adrenal fatigue, this could make it even worse. Um, so definitely not going into something like that over an extended period of time. Let me just stop screen sharing. Yeah,
like my
I
question
don't know how
would be
to.
like, So my first thing that I do in the morning is take 5 of my super aminos. Now that's breaking the fast, right? Because it's protein. So I would have
The
to.
super aminos are actually not going through your digestive system. So it does not break your fast. It goes right into your bloodstream. Your body has to do nothing to get those amino acids. It's like straight to the source.
That's true. That's true. I didn't even think about that. It goes straight to your bloodstream, so it bypasses,
Yeah.
which is why it's like the best aminos you could really put in your body, protein per se. Um, but now,
I'll say I didn't think I would not have made it through all these levels of, detoxification and to be able to fast if it weren't for the super amino support.
yeah.
So, anyways, go on.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I've just really been throughout the day, just really replenishing my body with, greens and stuff. My question was with the fruit juices. Like, did you guys juice the fruits or did you use like the juice in a bag and stuff? So how did you guys do that?
So we've been very blessed. Like I've had a list of stuff that I want. I wanted an J from like the get-go. As soon as I heard about it, I'm like, I need this juicer. So I have a juicer, we juice. Prior to that, we would have to like buy our juices. And I was like, it's just I really enjoy like having a connection to my food and
Yeah.
making it. So like just to open something and like throw it down, great, but like I'd really rather put my love into it.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. And then it also talked about like mono juice. Now, what is that? That's something I've never heard before.
Mono is one. So we're just juicing one fruit.
Ah,
And it was we had been eating cantaloupe like crazy during our fruit feast. We just like cantaloupe. I mean, we'd be walking around with my son last night had cantaloupe for dinner. Like we so um when we were trying to decide what fruit we were going to juice, I was like, I think we should do cantaloupe. And it was I don't know why cantaloupe juice is not a thing. Like it needs to be a thing.
so delicious. In the Philippines, that's one of their like drinks. That's instead of like lemonade, they do cantaloupes and
Mm,
it's you put it over ice and oh, it's so delicious. And
it was delicious. Yeah.
yeah, we don't get cantaloupes here anymore. I mean, they do, but it's not organic, so I haven't been able to do
Hmm.
that. But yes, it's the best, really, honestly. So okay, great.
Yeah.
And then what were we saying?
I think with like intermittent fasting or going into any fasting or like moving up this detox ladder. And again, this is why it's important to work with somebody so they can tell you like you're not ready for that. Like let's do a little more work. And we'll get you there. But the reason why people want to do these things is because they feel so crappy.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh my gosh, I heard this could make it better. Right. And we're at some point we get like desperate, like, I will do anything to feel like that or to not feel like that. And so, like, we want to hurry up and jump the gun a little bit. But, like, if we have adrenal fatigue of any stage, and if we have any HPA access dysfunction, like chronic fatigue, burnout, extreme stress, like those are signs that you should not just be jumping into this. Like the adrenal fatigue has to be addressed. Um, High levels of anxiety, like if you're a super anxious person, don't go into we have to calm the anxiety to be able to move up that ladder, to be able to get ourselves to a place where we can fast and benefit from it. If we have any of those things, we're not going to be able to benefit. We're just going to be stuck in fight or flight and be like, that was the worst experience of my life. And I know it because I did it. I was like, I never want to do that again. That was terrible. But my body really wasn't ready to do what I was asking it to do. I wanted to do it. My mind wanted to do it. And that's like 90% of my life. Like my head's always like, yes, I'm doing this. Um, and I just wasn't in tune to my body and to how to calm those things. So, um, and then like any hormone disruption, so like hormonal imbalances, we really should not be throwing ourselves directly into intermittent fasting or fasting over long periods of time. So if that's you, then what you'd want to do is go back to that detox ladder. And I can drop that and I'll drop it in the comments after we're done. But you'd want to start slowly climbing up that detox ladder. And that doesn't mean like, I mean, when I work with clients, it looks like let's have a meatless Monday. Like, we're just no meat on Monday. And then we start looking for things to replace what we were going to make. So we make those changes slowly. And then when we feel comfortable, we'll go up to the next one. And then we feel comfortable there. And we're like, okay, I think I could push this a little more. And so you just want to gently walk up and even do that if we're pushing time out, like very much stay present to what's happening in the body. And if we're ready to go over a long period of time without food, there's so many benefits to fasting. There really is. But the problem is that most people aren't at a stage where their body can tolerate that and make it beneficial instead of harmful. So
Yeah, I have a client who's just like on the first week, she's like, I just need parasite cleanse because I know I have these anxieties and I have overwhelm and I just gotta get these parasites out. And I'm like, where are you gonna put them when they're dying? Like, there's a process. We've got to get your, hydration. It's so, so important. If you're only drinking 2 bottles of water a day, 16 ounces, that's not enough. Especially if you're over 100 pounds. Like, that is not enough for you to like sustain yourself because we are made of 75% of water. So that's first thing and most, yeah. If you can be consistent with just drinking water, then we know that we can continue working on your nutrition part. When we talk about nutrition, it's getting your digestive system to its functioning properly and getting those detox pathway open. When you start detoxing and parasite cleansing and none of those are functioning properly, you're just holding on to more issues, which is why you feel worse when you're
Right.
doing it.
And we just had someone come into the store yesterday or it was the day before yesterday. I don't even know. I messaged you yesterday. What is today? Um, I'm just so much enjoying life. I don't even know what day it is. Um, so anyways, I had a man come into the store and he was like, I did a parasite cleanse 14 days, the beginning of January, and I felt like crap ever since. And I'm like, well, how long did you pulse it for? And he was like, no, no. I said, did you stop it and then restart it? And he was like, no, it was like 14 days straight and then you're done. And I was like, you're not. You're not.
So they're
You
cheap.
need to work with somebody.
Yeah.
And what he was complaining about, the first thing that popped in my head was, I think he needs a parasite cleanse. Like I wouldn't know for sure until we like deep dive and like get really into what's going on, which I invited him to do. But I did tell him like you really need to work with somebody because we can stir stuff up and then not be able to release it. And then now here you are with all of these things going to all these doctors. And the doctors are saying, like, oh, I don't know what's wrong. There's nothing, we can't find anything, So like working with somebody to get you to the level of where you want to go it's just beneficial. Like,
Yeah, I always say it saves time, it saves money, and it saves you from having more symptoms or even making things worse for yourself and harming yourself. Like you said, you didn't know at one point and then you passed out because you were only doing what you thought you knew you needed to do. And then there is a lot of, detoxing and parasite cleansing is a thing right now. It's a fad, but I have seen it where they're like, oh, you do a parasite cleanse for 20 days, and people think that that's what they're supposed to do. And then that's it. Or I'm going to do this for 15 days and then I'll feel better. And then they don't know why they don't feel better. And they're spending all this money, and then not doing it properly. So it's really, really important, essential to really have somebody to support you and you walk you through it and understand, like truly understand your lifestyle. And that's what I do. I get really deep with my clients. I tell them like, I'm going to get really personal with you to a point where like, we're talking about bowels, we're talking about your urine. I mean, we are going to get
favorite thing.
And I was like, I asked him all kinds of, personal questions, and it's part of it. And it's not just physical stuff, like the emotional stuff. What's happening? What's going on in your life? What are you feeling? What is the overwhelm? What is the stress? What is the anxiety? Like, what is all these going on in your life? Like, what's happening? We have to break those down first before we start any detoxification or even a parasite cleanse, especially a parasite cleanse, because it can be the most subtle cleanse, but it can be the worst if you're not prepared for it. And there's always this, there is a good preparation if you work with somebody. A practitioner, and that's what Megan and I do, and our network of colleagues. That this is what we do. We try to explain how important it is to have a walkthrough, because we can all do it on our own, like you've experienced on yourself. And I'm very, very fortunate that when I started all of this stuff, I have all of you guys to really walk me through it. But if you don't have that and you're just doing it on your own, it just makes it much harder, and then you're back to like what's happening to you. Yes,
Square one or
or worse.
further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for being here and um, really going over like how important these things are. I'm still kind of learning the fasting. I've done a couple of fasts before, but it was just like the subtle one. You do 12 hours and during the nighttime, so you're not overthinking it. But there is, further way to really support your body. And like with me right now, I really do want to do that fasting properly and just really go through it with this parasite cleansing so I can start flushing myself even more. So that is the biggest goal, is to flush everything out. And I always say, when we have a dirty house and let's just say there's like infestation of whatever it may be, you're not going to just stay and live in it. You're going to have to take everything out, like take everything out and then clean it out and then get that infestation out. Because if you don't, and you go back and throw back everything in there, guess what? Another infestation will happen, So that's really what's happening to our body and with these parasites. And, we kill them off. We don't have those pathways open. They're not going anywhere. And when a parasite dies, it actually, when it starts breaking apart, it sends out chemicals throughout your body, and it causes your nerve issues and it causes all kinds of havocs. And so if you're not supporting your body properly with the right nutrition and understanding like what food is affecting you, it's gonna be a lot worse for you. And then not even that, just when they do die off, they end up having all the babies come out, and then now you have more parasites. And well, what's happening to those parasites? Now you're not killing those parasites, and then it's going to grow, and then you're just back to even worse, because now you have multiple rather than just the one that you just killed off. So anyways, thank you so much. And again, we're here every Thursday. We try to get on around 9 a.m., sometimes 9:30, but we are here to really educate you guys and recommend reaching out to a practitioner, a specialist, who can really walk you through all of these detox or parasite cleansing. And I don't know if there was any other thing. So again, as I said, there's this, if you want to do intermittent fasting, the easiest fasting ever is stop eating on your last meal, which is like your dinner. Do not eat anything after that, nothing after that, and then break your fast the next day after 12 hours. I think that's pretty safe to say 12 hours to 14 hours, and then you can start eating afterwards. And like Megan says, don't do it prior to, break your fast before 10 o'clock. That's another tip that I had no idea. And that really supports your adrenals. So your adrenals not freaking out, understanding like what's going on. And now I have to work harder. So, and another thing, as well as with like sleep, with adrenal help, with adrenal understanding of supporting those adrenals, go to bed before 11 p.m. So there's just a lot of things that we can really, really guide you through and like give you tips on. But if you really want to do the fasting, start with the small, and you're fasting throughout the night. You don't want to have a snack at 10 o'clock after you've already had dinner at 7 o'clock. So that really start that, and that would be a really easy way to start fasting first. So anyways, until next time, thank you everyone, and remember to always be kind to yourself, and we will see you next week.